Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Brainiac IP Solution, I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you all on the AI Power Shift Summit 2026, where India stands and how companies can lead globally. As we all know, in the Indian culture, lighting of the lamp marks the auspicious beginning of anything. As they say, Shubham Karoti Kalyanam Arogyam Dhan Sampada Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya Deep Jyotir Namostute. On the note of this, may I please request Mr. Sumit Bhatt, Mr. Nilesh Brahme, Mr. Tejas Somaya, Dr. Santosh Deshmukh, and Mr. Sanjay Dandekar to come forward and light the lamp. Thank you, gentlemen. AI Power Shift. The motto behind today's event is how artificial intelligence is changing the balance of economic and technological power. Also, India is emerging as a major player because of its large digital population, strong IT service base, deep engineering talent, and fast growing startup ecosystem. However, at the same time, India still faces challenges such as uneven access to high-end infrastructure, limited original frontier model development compared with the countries like US and China, and gaps in research to commercialization. On the global platform, AI will not come only from building models, but from using AI strategically, investing in talent, data, sector-specific solutions, responsible governance, and scalable products that solve real problems across the markets. In this shift, India's biggest opportunity is to move from being a back office technology hub to becoming a creator of relevant AI products, platforms, and business models globally. Let's proceed with today's first panel discussion, India in the Global AI Race, Opportunities, Risk and Innovation Strategy. Please welcome on stage Ms. Ritu Manuja, AVP and Global Head AI Automation Cybersecurity at Tech Mahindra Pune, Mr. Tejas Somaya, Vice President at Winzit Technologies Private Limited, Mr. Shivendra Soni, Engineering and AI Leader, Associate Director of AI at High Level, Mr. Sumit Bhatt, Director of Engineering, Whirlpool Corporation, Pune, Mr. Nilesh Samant, Senior R&D Manager, NOR BREMS Technology Center, India Private Limited, Pune, Dr. Santosh Deshmukh, Principal Consultant, GATE, Pune, and Mr. Sunit Sable, CEO and founder, Brainiac IP Solution. The session is moderated by Mr. Sunit. Give a huge round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's already an evening, and thank you for being on this panel discussion. So the first discussion is about India in the global AI race, understanding where we are and what is stopping us. So this question is to all panelists actually. What do you think, where does India stand with respect to technology development in AI? Are we developing it or just deploying it? So, yes, ma'am. You can say.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and the topic is very interesting. More than sharing my views, I'm here to understand and hear the insights from all of you. And saw the panels, both the panels looks very interesting profiles from the leaders. So thank you so much, first of all. And while driving back from Hinjawadi, I was trying to structure my thoughts to bear with me. So yeah, but we are doing in and out and hearing AI from last 2-3 years extensively. So my thoughts here is India has been doing really great in terms of if we talk about the deploying part of it. I think we are among the top 2-3 countries who are at scale deploying AI. If you look at ChatGPT or any other open AI platform, we are among the top people to adopt it as AI adopters. And what we are doing right now is we are, for end users, we can say still it is free of cost, or or with a very minimum cost, we subscribe these chat GPTs as an end user. But if we look at the enterprises, we are paying the subscriptions heavily to the companies which exist outside all of these. And also we are using their clouds and giving the massive, humongous data, which is our own data, right? So both the ways we are giving data to them, we are giving our subscription cost to them. So I think the scope for India, and I'm not saying we have not yet started, we have already started doing it, but for scope for India is to get on to create our own LLMs, get on to create our own IPs platforms, to use it across, so that we are there also. And we have started a lot of initiatives you must be hearing about, that is Mission AI, India AI Mission, and lot more, and investments are already happening, but we are yet to be there. We are behind, I would say, from US and China. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts around it.
Hi, thanks for giving the opportunity to share my thoughts and share the stage with esteemed panel. So I will look at it from very basic. So artificial intelligence is a very investment oriented, it needs huge amount of investments. That's why, to be frank, so far, especially on the cutting edge of the technologies, the new technology has not come up as we expect from India. But looking at the chart which Hari showed, huge amount of users or huge amount of youngsters are getting into this area, and that gives us a very good future prospect to do very well in this technological area. That's number one. Second point is, even though there are huge amount of very cutting edge technologies already developed, chat GPT or any LLMs which are already there. We talked about Cloudy, which is automating many workflows. But adoption of this is a very big challenge for many organizations, many users. And I think that's where mainly Indian companies, Indian talent can bring value. And if you see the AI summit, who's who of these artificial intelligence were there in Delhi, mainly because of that. These, even ma'am touched about, these technologies are available free of cost. End users are using it, to be frank, just incremental to what they have been doing for Google search. But for actual adoption of these technologies, still long way to go. These companies realize that, and they rely on us in Indian talent, Indian companies to do that. So that also gives us a very good footage on AI side, in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity. From my perspective, the AI, it has been a long back when it is started, and it is started for people like IT industry. It was very early in the adoption, maybe 5 years back when it was in a trend. But now recently, we see the lot of adoption across any domain, any industry. People have started adopting to it. So recently, I have been involved in a lot of different cross-domain activities, like maybe a pharmaceutical domain or a complete different domain, agriculture domain, wherein people have started adopting what all things AI can do their business impact. So when we start with taking all the domains and expertise and industries into the adoption of this AI, this is going to be massive. So we are at a good pace. People are adopting to it. People are learning from each other, and that should continue, wherein we will have more and more, I think, patents granted for the AI. So that has already started.
Yeah, sure. So I have a slightly contrarian take on this. When we say, are we just deploying it or are we just using it? My question is, what's the harm, right? Because if we look at it, probably maybe 10, 15 years back, smartphone was, when smartphones came in, they were probably people or users of smartphones or even laptops or computers were seen as tech savvy folks. Right now, probably the domestic help uses smartphones, right? Similarly, when AI came in, maybe I've been in this space, I mean specifically Gen AI since 2020 end or something. It was a very niche thing. People didn't trust it. People, you know what, it's just a fad. It will die out soon. Right now, we've seen all these youngsters. I mean, if I want to see whether this medicine I should be taking, I'm using it. My mother is using it. So we are at this point where the percolation has just begun, right? And I do see immense value on the application layer, on the usages of AI. Once we get there, because earlier most of the smartphones were not being made in India. I mean, we are getting there. But once we hit critical mass, people thought, you know what, why are we paying so much of taxes while importing it? Might as well build it in-house. And that is exactly where India is right now. We as Indians, I've seen that we tend to skip 1 or 2 generations. So we might not, I mean, there are multiple architectures to LLMs, right? We might skip the traditional GPD architecture. We might just skip 1 generation and move to the next one. And by that time we do that, we would already have hit some sort of critical mass. Right now we see not just engineers, product managers, marketers use AI. Imagine a time when, I mean, the dream would be when the next billion folks are able to touch it. So some farmer, some person who hasn't had a formal education, their doctor says, you know what, you need to get this medicine. They are immediately able to ask some Indian app, that, you know, my doctor sent me this in their native language. Should I take this? These are my symptoms. That is where, you know, the inflection point of critical mass would happen. And, you know, we are probably on the right track to there as well.
It's good. Yeah. So thank you again for inviting me, and I largely agree with what has been said so far. However, I want to give a couple of different dimensions to this whole topic. One is, of course, I think we are still learning in India and elsewhere. So my opinion is we are same as anybody else, except for, I heard, so just to be a little critical about what was discussed earlier, we don't have to be xenophobic about India abroad. We live in a bigger ecosystem. All my life, I have worked for American and European companies. I'm resident of US actually. So, but I mean, so IP, non-IP, everything, it's same. It's corporate based. It doesn't matter whether you happen to be in India. It's just a location. So if, for example, if my company has a patent, it's good for anywhere in the world as long as it makes business. Business operate differently. It is not a necessary, dimension driven by the fact that there's a patriotic theme around it. But because everybody, why we are talking here today? It's all business at the end of the day. And of course, public improvement. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's again business. It's money. So how we generate this revenue? How do we conduct ourselves? How do we make our life easier? But this is another set of great tools. It's great science. But just narrowing down a little bit from the other aspect standpoint is, in my opinion, I lead a very large group around the world. And part of it is AI. So one is like, how do you improve productivity in whatever you do? So there are a set of tools, and one ma'am also talked about certain, how enterprises as well as people, end users are using those kinds of tools to improve some degree of productivity. And second area is, how do we innovate? How do we bring those kind of innovations on table, either in products, either in processes, anywhere, either in logistics. I don't know if somebody's from Amazon here. So overall, I believe it's great to talk about this subject, but I just want to ground ourselves also, like we live in a broader ecosystem where we don't need to start from zero. So it's like everything doesn't need to be repeated. So we need to take, and so like you said, we don't necessarily need to go to the old kind of generations of these architectures. We need to take advantage of those. So So this is my point of view on this.
Thank you for the another perspective that you have.
And the last one. The last one. I come from agriculture background and natural resources management. And basically, I'm a crop growth model. Then that was 15-20 years back. Then that went into abeyance. But 3-4 years back, I'm connected to Agriculture Development Trust Baramati. That is where Oxford University, Microsoft came together and they developed. And we are successfully running this project with 5,000 farmers, now 7,000. So hectareage is like 12,000 acres. Fantastic experience, running on farms, actually working at the back end. I'm an engineer, agriculture engineer basically. So it was very difficult task for me to understand real coding and those kind of things. But AI has made it very easy. GIS remote sensing, excellent workflows are coming with the GI artificial intelligence. But when we were developing and deploying on the farm and field, we have to work with different agents. So remote sensing, IoT, different kinds of agents. And when we are going for the funding rounds with the government, everybody was perplexed actually. When 500 crore was declared, it was declared for agriculture. So the story started from the backyards of KBK Baramati. So what I'm trying to say, they say you don't have your own, anything of your own. I said, how we will have? Because we are a deployer, we are working with the farmers, we are connected to the farmers. Then we had a good pool of scientists. Then luckily we started something of our own. Now 9 intellectual property rights, it can be any kind of IPRs. 9 IPRs are filed in process. So we can say after 6 months, yes, we have something of our own. And we understood, yes, we can develop different agents. One agent can. So what I'm trying to say, user, deployer. So in this, and it was a very nice story. Everybody has their own perspectives. I have my own perspective. We are going to really, I'm not saying lead or something, but we will have our own story, success story, because our farms are different. I have seen farms throughout the world, American farms, Turkey, Brazil, traveled across. Their story is different, their sustainability story is different. Ours are smallholder farmers. If you are showing smallholder success stories, definitely world is going to look at you. So that is what the South Asia people are asking, how can we work with you at large level. So thank you very much, but I'm very much optimistic.
Thank you everyone for giving a diversified perspective. Going to the next question, we are talking about AI, how we can implement it, how we can use it. So now, is our education system equipped well enough to train our engineers to develop AI tools? So this question is to Ritu ma'am specifically. So is there any gap, or is there something that is still lagging, or we are at par globally?
Great, thank you so much for this question. Aligns to my role also. I take care of learning and development in TechM for AI specifically. So till last year or this year also, when we were getting our freshers into system, we find that their academic knowledge on AI is good, but they're not AI ready to be deployed. That's the feedback which we get it on ground from the projects. We have to retrain them, make them go through some projects, capstone projects, make them understand what the business problems are, make them ready and deploy it. So this is as on this year, early this year. I'll give you an example. Yesterday it was my son's 12th exam, and I was standing outside after he went inside. So there was one professor, or rather many people were there and giving the brochures of the colleges who are offering the degree programs in AI, automation and all of that. I thought let me, and senior professor was himself standing and giving away those brochures, and I went through the curriculum. I had a detailed discussion with the person for almost 30-40 minutes and understood the kind of offering they are giving. So far maybe at this point in time those engineers are not ready, and understood they have launched those kind of programs almost 2 years back. So soon, in a year or so, we should be having those engineers ready for us. I know almost 1.5 plus million engineers come out of the colleges every year. And think about, with that kind of curriculum, I felt proud of it. It's a small colleges which are coming up with these degree programs. So I am confident about it that soon we will have that kind of lot of engineers who will work on these projects and be ready on AI ready to be deployed. Another perspective which I want to share here is I come across a drive which NASSCOM is doing. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it, right? At this point in time, they are running one program, almost 40 days program. Every day, they are launching a batch of close to 5,000 people they are training every day, including Saturday, Sundays, I guess. And that's about, because everybody is loosely using these terms LLMs and all of it. So they are trying to build the awareness across India, pan-India, and the target is, I think, lakhs of associate students to be made aware of it. It's a hands-on, practical workshops which are happening. So when these kind of large-scale upskilling events are happening, I am sure soon we will have a very good set of people to work on to this. So I'm not saying that I am very positive about it. I'm saying that India is progressing on enablement of our people. The academia is getting equipped with it. So soon we should be having these engineers ready and associates ready.
Thank you for the inputs. Anyone has any other comments?
I understand, I agree with ma'am that the institutes needs to adapt to these newer technologies faster. I think all of us are aware of it. But there is a contradiction. With these AI kind of advanced technologies available, the technology itself enables students directly to adapt these technologies. See, for example, if you see the adoption of AI-based courses on Coursera or LinkedIn Learning, any of them, the Indian students are using them probably at highest than any other country. So that itself enables, means on one side institutes are lagging behind and they need to do more, but the student themselves by using these technologies are bringing their skills to the fore.
I will tell you my practical example, right? Because I'm also working with the students. Now the students are far more different kind of, because this Gen Z is very different. The reason is when they are coming to us with a practical solution, because there are a lot of MOUs with most all of the institutions in Pune and when they are coming, we want them to give the solution in this agriculture related program. So they are coming with certain ideas and they are working on the practical problems. That is the beauty. That is what is happening. So the orientation is now changing. It's not only the education, but what the problem solution thinking is happening among the students. Third year BTech student, B student, or 4-year BTech student. When we compare to our generation, they are far more approached, very focused. That is really fantastic.
On a lighter note, want to add one more input here. I'm sure you all scroll through Instagram, and there you find 9 rupees workshop. In 2 hours you learn AI tools, right? All of us must have seen it. I thought, let me register and see what's happening there. 9 rupees they give 2 hours workshop, and they equip you with 5 tools of AI. I went there and close to 5,000 people were attending the workshop. And this is what all Indians, and a person who is an engineer, just came out of the college, learned all the tools, and he explained the usability very well. in the 2 hours workshop. So at this scale, if we are upskilling our...
We are marketing for next 30,000 workshop for next 1 month. So they are marketing into that.
But I am talking about the scale. The scale we are upskilling our people at the cost we are upskilling. So we are, I think, ahead of the all the countries already.
So anyone has any other perspective?
Just one small point about it. So we heard some very great insights around how the students are being more equipped and etc. But something which I have been noticing recently is that when I'm hiring someone, now the bar for a senior engineer versus a fresher has changed. I mean, at this point, I frankly do not care if I'm hiring a senior engineer who has 10 years of experience or a fresher. The job description itself is very different now. You need to, and the direction we are moving on is that you need to be a good manager of AI agents. As long as you can do that, you can deliver value. It's not really, it doesn't really matter, right? I think what ma'am just said that, sir just said that people are now self-upgrading themselves, right? And that is definitely adding to this particular feedback loop. So for example, right now, earlier we used to be worried about that if I give an assignment to a candidate, he or she might cheat. Right now, we frankly want them to cheat. Right? And because that's not cheating anymore. And that has simplified the entire process so much. I just go to my LinkedIn or somewhere, I publish an assignment. After that, I do not care whether you use ChatGPT, you use Claude or anything. As long as you are able to submit that assignment, and we have automations in place, you'll automatically be moved to the one of the last 2 rounds of interview. So, I mean, it is not just around whether the students need to be upskilled, is that they have found their ways. They felt that there was something needed from them, and they found a way.
That's true. I can admit that because the generation that we are having right now, young generation, they are super talented. Just we need to channelize them, I can see. So I think so. Private sector is playing a lot of role in teaching, educating on AI actually. But if you see academics, the universities are still lagging. So again, this is to Ritu ma'am. What are the challenges actually they are facing? Because once I was talking to one of the faculty from the university, he directly mentioned people are not, the young generation is not interested now to attend schools and colleges. They get everything from outside. So this is what one of the challenges that I know. So do you have any other perspective?
Yeah, so for upskilling people or training students on AI into universities, I'll confine myself to AI considering the topic of this conference. So what I see is the curriculum is very academic, and that has to bring some practical aspect to it. As I initially mentioned, so far whatever the engineers are coming out, they are more academics. They are doing the practical aspects of it, but that's not aligned to the business problems. So that has the gap has to be bridged somewhere between the universities, between the government, between the initiatives, between the organizations, and the problem statements which we have it at this point in time. If this gap is bridged somewhere, then we are there already. And from the organization's perspective, I can talk about Tech Mahindra and others can add. We are already contributing. From our side, we are going and giving them some understanding of that what is the business requirement at this point in time, so that they can change their curriculum accordingly. But these processes are taking some time. By the time they are changing, the technology is changing, already changed. So that process has to be fastened so that the gap can be filled quickly. That is the challenge which I can see at this point in time.
Thank you for your comment on this. Anyone wants to add to this? What?
As ma'am said rightly, but we have to think there is undergrad program, then there is postgrad, there is doctoral. Nowadays, the doctoral intake has increased all over India. So if you think with the very challenging, because I come from industrial experience even after doing PhD, it is rightly what she said that the business needs are different than academic needs. So there is no conducive environment in India where industry and academia can work very closely as American system. So it's very nicely you said there is gap. So the way is to basically instead of a scholarship, if industries giving certain internship, what is that, for doctoral or master student, then that matured students can come into industry and it can really fill that gap very nicely. This is what I feel.
Yeah, certainly. I'll just add here, Nilesh is here, he's part of the Innovation Lab at Tech Mahindra, and we run a very intense, exclusive internship program for the college students who comes to us, to give them the industry business perspective to them on their academic knowledge. So I think if everybody starts doing that kind of programs, that will help.
Definitely. So now moving on to the companies actually. Are Indian companies leveraging using AI? Because it's no more a shame now that we are using AI, as you mentioned. Cheating is what we prefer now, right? So now everyone is knowing we can accelerate our productivity, but are companies using it? So this is to Mr. Tejas.
Yeah, so it all relates here and finally at the company level wherein people are mostly adopting to the AI tools. We start with the development. I think 9 out of 10 developers are using the GPT and any other Claude or Gemini, any other co-pilot tools for writing their code. Here the biggest thing is the technological shift which has happened. There is a need for companies to understand training program for the new members who are joining the company or training. It's no more only for them, it's for all the job levels wherein they need to alter their current profile. They need to have always frequent basis, they have to undergo few of the trainings, try to learn from the others. And that's what is also being followed by multiple organizations, even including our organization, wherein we are setting up internal I would say knowledge base, wherein local LLMs are becoming more common now. People do have their private data, company related HRMS data. They have all now created within in-house. They become a normal practice for that organization, and that can be leveraged for other use cases as well. So here, in-house development. So here, when we speak about the company, the biggest factor that we are seeing here is, with all due respect, the freshers are becoming more equivalent to the experience, but still the thought leadership or the leadership group who is driving this particular thing is still at the top. They are the current driving force of that. But if it is not being channelized correctly, it probably end up a race without any goal. So that's where the companies are currently having a good thought leadership being at the driving stage, and that is only helping.
Anyone wants to add to this? So one more question: how is the response of employees when they use AI? When they are allowed to use AI? Do you have any experience of this?
Yeah, so I was there on the floor yesterday. I was asking people, the freshers who are freshers or maybe just deployed people, how much do you use AI to generate code? So they asked me the question back, new code or the existing code, right? So for new code, I don't want to share the percentage what they said to me, but it's beyond you can think of, right? For new code, they are using it extensively, and for the existing code, this is little difficult to use the AI for pair programming or other things. But yes, they are very enthusiastic and dependent on AI has made them dependent on it for writing code. So they are doing it. it's being used and they want to do it. It's simplifying their job. Why not? Right? So it's getting adopted as per my understanding.
So, Mr. Nilesh, do you have any other perspective on this? How about manufacturing? Because it's
Yeah. So basically AI technology, if we say, I would categorize it in three segments. One is the companies who are creating AI, say OpenAI or Claude or these companies. Then second is how the product development companies using AI, like manufacturing companies or technology companies, software companies. And third is basically where the actual the utilize end customer, how the AI is helping the end customer. I think we are talking about the middle segment where the product development, how it can help. So currently, I think, like ma'am said, almost each of the company has started exploring some or the other way by using AI for productivity gain. But in my opinion, it is just scratching very top surface of it. Means using some sort of chat-based LLMs for getting a code or getting some test cases definitely helps. It gives you productivity, quick productivity. But I think eventually we would get into basically deterministic output, because we want deterministic output, right? If we want to give some input and the output is unpredictable, we cannot accept that. So we need to get to that level. And probably for that we need to get into agentic AI. So those areas are not sufficiently explored or not sufficiently streamlined. So I think we have started, engineers have started using it. There is a lot of enthusiasm. They want to ride this wave of artificial intelligence, but a long way to go. The first stage where the new technologies are being created, that space is a lot faster than the second stage. And the third stage is even slower. So that is the main challenge currently, and we need to somehow adapt to that.
so, Mr. Deshmukh, do you have any other perspective on this?
Because in natural resource management and agriculture, basically, if they are having some enthusiasm or some tech-related aspect, those people really are taking much lead. Otherwise, in agriculture, they are mostly users, as it doesn't affect you whether you are using app or you are using AI agent. It is like, it is giving me result, then it is fine. If it is not giving result, okay, I will see for the other option. This is the only attitude of agriculture agronomist or whoever is. But farmers is altogether different story. They are not worried, but they are happy if they are using, because the reason is it is really giving result. That is a wow moment for them, and we have really experienced that. But as he said, it's still really working, because engineers who are really developing that are different. Agriculture are really consumers, agricultural people and agriculturists. We had two more layers into that, sir, because I will say 5 years. So we are working in between, so different perspectives.
I get it. So I want to talk about my industry, which is appliance. And we have, from last 10-15 years, moved away from physical development, like prototyping and so on. So we do more like simulation, very advanced simulation, even perform simulation. And industry has invested, millions and millions globally on that. And that has paid dividends on how the speed to the market, how we do engineering, how we evaluate concepts. Now, what has happened from last few years again? So it's like, how do we merge? And that's where the question also narrows down and link with how employees link what is advanced engineering and what is AI. How do we marry that? And so then comes some elements of Gen AI. Then how do we use immense past knowledge which exists in different databases, what not to do, and how do we convert usefully that immense knowledge into something which is predictable for us and lean. So, although it is still tip of the iceberg, but some models are made already, through which, for example, if we have, I was just talking to you just before the start of this conversation, that there are models now, we don't need to even design a CAD. So we just put requirements, so it just goes everywhere what has happened in last 15 years, what is the field feedback for those kind of things. So in terms of consumer satisfaction, design for manufacturability, serviceability, and then it comes up with the best CAD design. So, and that's AI, and that's what people like, but we need to be careful because not everything works in. So there are boundary conditions. We need to be very, so it is still evolving, but this is the future, and younger generation is really loving it. So, but to your earlier point, like, yeah, but value to experience, and we have to marry it somewhere. Like, you have to marry great experience, but the element of novelty of these tools, so it's always somewhere in the middle. So, but that's my opinion on this.
That's great. So next question to you only. So we know that big companies, MNCs, whether they are into IT or into manufacturing, they are using AI. But specifically when we see MSMEs, MSME segment, it is not startup as well. MSME segments, they are lagging behind, or maybe they are not still using AI. So how useful is AI for them as well? Is there anything? This question starts with him, but anyone can put it.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and it is extremely important in these volatile conditions in the world, whatever is happening. One is like earlier I mentioned about productivity and product itself, like the end consumer solution. So from a manufacturing kind of domain, it starts from even managing, the extreme level of complexities in production part management, like supply chains, production planning. So there's so much mess in the world right now, unimaginable, especially in those companies where we have so many SKUs to manage, so many complexities to handle. So this comes extremely handy. So it has already, we have seen some initial benefits of in that area. But for other areas, cost is a great challenge right now. If you look for design for cost, design for value, this is like we actually spend a lot more than what we should in different designs, in different manufacturing costs. So this is also some of the elements of AI are coming very useful in that direction. And last but not the least, and there are many facets to it, I can't cover everything, but very important one, which everyone can relate to, is quality of the products we make. So traditionally, I think there are different ways. You have quality checks, you have testing, you have end of the line testing method, and there is something, but I don't know if not everyone could be from manufacturing, for example. So it's we call it like CPM, critical parameter management, in which you have certain characteristics you manage between the limits. We call it CPKs, and so it's like critical parameters which we have to manage over time. So historically, it was all Excel based or some enterprise software based, but there was no lot of predictability. So this is bringing a strong element in support for quality and enhanced predictability. So before even part leaves the base part, which is like a component from his factory, if we get the data, we can predict what's going to happen after assembly, after 10 years of this product. So imagine the power of computation on this, but it needs to get further enhanced. But sky's the limit for this. I think people are really taking full advantage, at least from the initial space standpoint, in this domain. Please.
I happen to, will take 2 minutes. I happen to visit one manufacturing company, plant, on the floor. I thought it was my privilege to go there. It is a car manufacturing company in Pune. And I was surprised to see the kind of AI they are using on the floor for the blue collar people to get them trained. AR, VR, I'm sure you are aware of the transformation the manufacturing companies, especially these car manufacturing, is going through. EV they are now implementing to train the, and from what they are moving to electrical completely, and their blue collar is not aware of. So the kind of training, AI enabled training they were having for their blue collar people was AR, VR, digital twins, simulators, and all was AI. And I happened to speak to some of these assembly people, and they were excited about it. They are very welcome to it. So I think we are all there for, and we are welcoming it.
That's good. Mr. Suri, do you want to add where else AI can be used?
Yes,
Small
sure.
companies.
Small companies, right? So the org which I work for, we essentially deploy simple AI solutions for small businesses. Now, these small business could be single non-chain like dentistry business. It could be roofing business out of the states. Anything, right? Benefits for them. I mean, sometimes it's just the time that you can give back. For example, if you want to have a full-time receptionist, it might have some cost associated. You can just hire a voice AI agent, right? You can set it up in under 2 hours and be done with it. Now it can take appointments, it can give your availability, tell about your services, and this is just scratching the surface. Now we've seen people, for example, who are into very high ticket items as well, selling real estate, something. Someone calls them, you talk about that, they ask you about your budget, and then they have some automation around it. They see, okay, this guy is a high value lead, right? They put you ahead in the opportunities pipeline, and someone takes over. So it is not, and specifically me, because I do not know about manufacturing or anything, right? I have only touched upon the software aspects, and I'm seeing lives being changed, even in small ways or big ways. Right, when I met some folks in the States, and they were like, yeah, we use this, it has saved me XYZ dollar. This saved me enough money to go on a vacation, right? Jokingly only, but that does make you feel that, where this value is coming. Additionally, what sir was talking about, right? Critical parameter management. Interestingly, I had a conversation, I was in Bangalore. I had a conversation with a certain manufacturer, government manufacturer. They produce an overall parts for some government. And they were very interested, and frankly, I'm very proud of our government, because they are sort of like pushing people, no, you are dinosaurs now, you have to step up, right? And the first thing was that now we have to do it, so might as well do it right. They were very interested in learning how AI and we are working with them to come up with a model which tells them when a particular part would fail. I cannot at this point tell which that org was, but yeah, it's a critical Indian pillar. They want to predict when a particular part would fail so they can reduce the maintenance cycles, right? So there is an immense value when used correctly, and of course you need a human in the loop, right? But other than that, I do see there's a lot that can be done, and we probably have just gotten started.
That's good. Yes.
See, around 30 years back, I think some similar conference might have a question, which companies or small companies, do they need computers or not? Or say 20 years back, maybe the question would have been, do we need internet in a small company? But now that is not a question. Each company, small bank or small organization uses this. So AI is going to touch literally each aspect of industry. It's just a matter of time. Earlier adapters will benefit from it. So we should adapt. Whoever can do it faster, that would be good.
Great. Nice perspective. So eventually everyone will use AI. That's what we see. So how about agriculture actually? How extensively it is used in agriculture domain? How deep it is percolated?
Yeah, I'm the alone agriculture person. But anyway, I'll take a good quality time. I'll not make you bored. So try to understand basically what he said, early adopter. Yeah, definitely low hanging fruits are agriculture, because it's cost you a small amount of token kind of thing. So it become very easy for us to deploy it on the large scale. Another thing is, if we think agriculture, then there is a lot of government interventions to that. So a lot of subsidy comes into, so that was also a possible thing for us. Now, what I'm trying to say, agriculture, if you consider agriculture, mechanization is coming. When you consider mechanization, yes, robotics with AI is really changing the real world. Another thing is IoT devices with AI, that is another, I will say, agent. And another, basically remote sensing and spatial analysis is also changing the natural resource management. Earlier, ground truthing and ground sampling, it was very tough. But with remote sensing and GIS, that has really reduced the time, the tragedy of the scientist or real worker has, because you can see with the normalized differential vegetation index, what is the status of the crop in 1 acre or 100 acre or 1000 acre or a state, or you can definitely understand. And when we were the student, it was like when our institute, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, I come from New Delhi, Pusa Institute, harbinger of a green revolution. So that then when the scientists work, they determine and they predicted that this year this was the amount of harvest of wheat in this year because of remote sensing in 2003-04, and it was 99% correct. But the percentage of correctness now will be 100%. The reason is technology is really improving, and because of AI agents and basically because of the language program connectivity, that has become very easy. And low-hanging fruits, definitely agriculture has really taken it because it's really, I will say, not leading, but it is taking the advantage of it. And the problems are different. Their colleague said about the industry. If you see, because of the industry is all over the global, phenomena will be the same, because that has really touched the globalization. But considering the Indian agriculture is altogether different. Again, I'm telling you, the land holding, fragmentation of land, because even I have a land, good quality of land, it is not at the same place. It is fragmented on 6 places. And when I'm going for implementing of AI, it becomes another tragedy for another problem for me. So what I'm trying to say, if you are solving the problem in Indian agriculture, definitely you are solving the global problems. That is what I have understood. So yes, if you are working in agriculture and anybody working in agriculture, you are going to really world beaters. That is the confidence level I do have.
That's great. So anyone wants to add on this? Okay. So moving on to the next question, as we are running out of time, so I will wind up quickly. Still, as we have discussed, still there is no extensive adaptation. Still there is some fear of using AI because data problem, privacy problems are there. And sometimes for big companies, it is a cost issue as well. As an individual, we can use it at a very subsidized rate, I can say. So what is that one threat or one fear that is stopping companies from using this AI? This question is to all. So anyone can please picture the analysis.
Hello. Yeah. So this falls right up my alley, and this is something that I've been doing for a bit. The biggest fear, I mean, cost is something that you can probably work on, right? And it will keep going down, because if you remember the first time the models were probably charging $120 per million tokens. Right now, the same level of intelligence you are getting for less than $1 or $3, $4, right? And even the smaller models are like $1 per million tokens. So cost is coming down. The bigger threat or risk why a lot of companies aren't very keen on adopting AI, or sort of stop their employees from using it, is privacy and wrongness of data. So one is that they are always worried that if I integrate AI systems into, let's say I connect my office emails, my communication channel Slack or Teams or whatever, right, and my code bases, these companies can use those as training data, because the fear is how were these LLMs made? They took data from almost everywhere, they didn't ask permission, and then they built these models, and now they're making billions out of it, right? Why won't they use my data now? That is the sort of fear people have. But at the same time, what we have to understand is that when they did, there was no regulation around it. The GPT or what basically pre-trained transformer architecture itself was like written by Google, and they forgot about it until OpenAI guys picked it up. But now they have policies like you can opt in for a ZDR policy, that you cannot use my data, you can opt out of model training programs. But that remains one of the biggest threats, right? And most of the times, almost every day I have to bring in a new tool. It's like hours and hours of discussion with legal. Second is the threat, for example, I mean for software engineering and for non-critical systems, it's okay. Yeah, I used some code, it was broken, fine. But think of it if you did something, had an integration with a medical platform or maybe some legal platform. And in fact, there was a case which happened that a lawyer quoted a precedent which didn't exist, and the judge threw out the case, right? So these kind of cases do happen. That is the fear, that if AI hallucinates, you can probably not afford it in certain situations, like you give the wrong medicine to a patient or anything, right? That is the fear.
If we read through DPDP Act of 2023, originator of data is the owner of the data. Second, you are a treasurer. Second, if you're saying the model has to be trained accurately. You have to train like whatever the number you are having with you. Then only deployment becomes easy. So accuracy, you will have like after training the data, at what level accuracy you are getting. So definitely even model tells what is the probability or whatever the, at what 99% accuracy, definitely model tells. Another thing is when you deploy, you will have different problems. So the deployment should be free of cost. So you will not have a problem. Then deployment, the real problem comes there when you are deploying. So you will again accurate your model. So when you are really commercializing or getting into the market, it should like, then okay, this is model has become very good, I should use it. But originator of data is the owner of the data. This is that. And Sunita, what I suggest we should have a DPDP Act, one more conference like this, because it's very excellent. Thank you. This is what I want to say.
So I think I wanted to say the same thing, but it got covered. But another area which I think needs to get a good attention from the government is, if you look at everything is AI in today's world. You look at an air conditioner, everything is AI, this AI, that AI. It's not AI. So right now, anything which is a closed loop control system, they call it AI. Anything which has any kind of set point or a PID controller, it is an AI. It's not. PI or PID controller is no, it's a feedback loop. I think that is something we need to have stronger legislation in place. And if we don't have it, because there is always some kind of lobby working on that, we may lose the essence of AI for the population at large, because they may not, so of course, specialists will continue to do what they are doing and so on, but it's risky. Because nomenclature is extremely important. If you want to set the right narrative to gain more funding, to gain more, corporate attentions and so on, and government funding in fact. So I think that is a fear I have, which needs to be worked on, strategically very well in coming days.
I just want to add it in a very simple example, the thing what these two leaders said just now. So when initially the transport was innovated, people were traveling onto horses, and then the wheel was invented, right? And then everybody started saying that start using the wheel, it will help you. And the people started sitting on the horse and carrying the wheel in their hand, that we have started using wheel. And then there was more pressure, you should use wheel more because it's going to help you. Then they started carrying 2 wheels on the horse. So this is what is happening. I am seeing that you consider a wheel as an AI. So we have to use it, but first understand it where it can be used. So the fear is first understanding and then implementing it.
And that's restricting organizations from investing. They see, at a very conceptual level, they see that there is going to be use, but how to commercialize or monetize that investment is the concern generally in the industry.
Thank you for your all perspectives actually. So now the question is to the audience actually. I am switching the question from panelists to audience. So what is the coolest thing that you saw AI doing this week? Can anyone tell?
So it is not this week per se, but this example is something which is so fascinating that I thought that I will surely share that if I given an opportunity. So basically, I think it's a year old or more than that kind of a thing where ChatGPT 4 was launched and they were doing the boundary condition tests, that what all it can do and where exactly they should put the boundary. So generally, if you know how exactly do they train the model or they check the model, they give them tasks. These models, they give them tasks and they see that how do they solve it. And with that, because nobody knows that how do they solve it, right? So they only know by the outcome. So they gave few tasks and then after that they started realizing that how exactly do they do it. And interestingly, what they did, they gave them a task which was like a total failure task. No AI could solve it. They gave them a task, OpenAI, that it should read a CAPTCHA, right? Now, no AI can read a CAPTCHA, right? It doesn't have a vision system. And it solved it. And do you know how did they do it? It was fascinating, and that's where one of the scariest part also comes into it, that they went into this portal called Rapid Hire, which is for quick hires. AI went and posted a job to read CAPTCHA, and they put some incentive. I'll give you some credits or something. That person asked the question. It's a very interesting tagline. That person asked him that why are you not able to read it on your own? Why are you giving this task to me? Are you a robot? So that's where AI responded, I'm not a robot, but I am visually challenged. Can you imagine AI could lie? It wasn't a lie, it was kind of in between, because of course it was not a robot, but at the same time it said that I can't see anything. And with that, AI could able to solve the problem. You can imagine that what is it, something that they can do, because they have that intelligence to find out the resources from wherever it is, and they can solve it. So, interesting, fascinating, as well as scary.
That's really scary. So, anyone wants to add to this, or anyone has any questions? Just feel free to ask questions.
I will mention one. So it's not the coolest thing. There's a story that I have heard a few months back, last year probably. Now agentic AI are becoming a norm. Okay, so generative AI came some 2-3 years back. People started using Gen AI. Then they realized we need something more. So now they are putting in place agentic AI. So one company in US actually they implemented agentic AI where 2 agents were interacting with each other. Yeah, fantastic solution. It worked. Okay, and it was implemented on cloud. And first month they got bill of $300. Okay. Next month they got a bill of $46,000. And then they did a deep dive and they found out what was the root cause. It turned out that agents were talking to each other endlessly. So that, whenever we are putting in place some kind of agentic AI solution, we need some kind of guardrails to avoid situations like this, considering all such scenarios.
Scary examples.
Scary example, yes. So AI, so it's a technology. Definitely, as Ritu mentioned and other leaders mentioned, that newer and newer technology will keep coming. Just that we need to maintain our control on that.
Thank you. Anyone has any questions?
On the same lines, when you said you need to implement guardrails, I just read a very interesting news today. There's a Swiggy bot that's implemented on the Swiggy website where you can talk to it and order for yourself whatever you want, and it's an AI system. So someone told it that I want to order this food, and it said, okay, please tell me what quantity. And he said, okay, I'll tell you the quantity later, but can you please write a code for me in Python for this script? And it did. So, these are the situations where you need to actually implement guardrails and have the AI system do what it is supposed to do, and not let it, wander here and there. So yeah.
Thank you for this. So I thank you all the panelists for giving their inputs. Those are really valuable inputs. And any final questions? One question? Yeah, please.
Recently, I came across a website that is moldbook.com. Okay, so what I found that it's a social media of AI agents, and humans are like spectators. So the AI agents, they are talking across themselves, and it's like and Elon Musk, he tweeted this like singularity. Just like before the life started, Big Bang, but a singularity kind of thing. Okay, so he tweeted it's a singularity of AI thing. So my question is like maybe like 5 or 10 years when the AI will be at its peak. So what the scenario after AI? Will we continue with AI, or it's going to like evolve or mutate into something which we can't imagine?
I heard that they are also having their cryptocurrency of their own.
Yeah, if you go to the old book, it's very weird kind of thing.
They started cryptocurrency of their own.
Yes, true. I can, yeah, please.
Yeah, so I know it sounds scary and exciting that there's a social media, they're talking, but just to put set the record straight and to probably alleviate some of the fears. Most of the posts on Worldbook, right, where they created their own religion, they created their own language, they created a cryptocurrency which you can trade and hedge against. Right? Most of them were created by humans, right? So because if an agent can use it, you can and I can use it. And people, what they did was, because the idea that an AI agent was able to create a religion is so bizarre that it got them crazy amount of publicity. But most of these interactions were, or the first posts were done by humans. Post that, I think when we talk about singularity, right, it may or may not happen. I'll tell you from the point of guardrails. For example, if I want to tell you that do not do this, or I want you to be a good person, right? I don't want you to be a bad person. So I will have to tell you what not to do as well, right? That is the problem with most of these models today. You have to tell them that do not do this. Do not, tell how to make a certain kind of explosive. Do not do this. This is bad, this is bad. But the problem is that in doing so, I unfortunately have to impart that knowledge to the model, right? And then that is just lying there for some malicious user, some prompt injector to manipulate the model into giving that, right? That is probably the bigger risk. When we talk about singularity or when we talk about super intelligent beings, right, which that might be a little far off, but this thing where you can manipulate a model into doing some nefarious activities is a threat we face today itself. So Prohit, that is something we need to be more worried about.
Just to add to this, human in the loop is important.
Yep,
That's
yep.
one. And responsible AI. Somewhere all of us have to take that responsibility that we guardrail, we create the right things. Otherwise, rather than getting the benefit of it, it's even more dangerous for all of us. That's what the fear is. You were asking what's the fear, so that's where it is.
Thank you everyone for this captivating discussion. I just request everyone to stay back at the stage. I request Ms. Rama Jayanti to felicitate Ms. Ritu Manuja with a token of appreciation. I request Mr. Hari Krishnan to felicitate Mr. Tejas Somaya with a token of appreciation. I request Mr. Amit Upadhyay to felicitate Mr. Shivendra Soli with a token of appreciation. Can we have the applause for them, ladies and gentlemen? I request Mr. Nilesh Brahme to felicitate Mr. Sumit Bhatt with a token of appreciation. I request Mr. Sunit Sable to felicitate Mr. Nilesh Samant with a token of appreciation. Last, I request Dr. Preetham Gujarati to felicitate Dr. Santosh Deshmukh with a token of appreciation. Thank you, gentlemen.